Hello, welcome back. I got a shaky camera again, but again, if you're not watching the first 3 or 4 seconds, you probably miss it. So those loyal viewers that pay attention get to watch that kind of stuff. That's the fun we have. I'm glad you're here. Thanks for coming back. We are almost done with Genesis. We're in chapter 46. This is Jacob going to Egypt. As we saw last time, the Pharaoh told Joseph, hey, go get them, bring them back. And that's where we're at right now. So excuse me, thank y'all for joining me. And we're going to read from the Complete Jewish Bible today because I think it puts it a little bit better. I almost waded into an argument about versions the other day, translations, and then I realized that that was a waste of time. I am not a huge fan of the NIV. It's good sometimes. I don't think it's a horrible translation, but I wouldn't use it for the most part. I don't use it at all, but when you get into arguments about that kind of stuff, it goes nowhere. So you're not changing anybody's mind about anything. What I tell people is read multiple translations and you will start to see where you've missed a few things. That's the goal. So let's jump into the Complete Jewish Bible, Genesis chapter 46. It says, Israel took everything he owned with him on his journey. He arrived at Beersheba and offered sacrifices to the God of his father Yitzhak. In a vision at night, God called to Israel. Yaakov, Yaakov, he answered. Here I am, he said. I am God, the God of your father. Do not be afraid to go down to Egypt. It is there that I will make you into a great nation. Not only will I go down with you to Egypt, but I will also bring you back here again after Joseph closed your eyes. I read that sentence so many times I couldn't read. After Joseph closed your eyes. I didn't really kind of get it. But what he means is after you die and Joseph closes your eyes, I'm going to bring you back. He's reassuring Israel or Jacob at this time still what's going to happen. Remember, most people thought gods were territorial. So he's reassuring him that he can actually cross national boundaries. He's not like the gods that he's known in the past. So Yaakov left Beersheba. The sons of Israel brought Yaakov, their father, their little ones, their wives, in the wagons Pharaoh had sent to carry them. They took their cattle and their possessions, which they had acquired in the land of Canaan, and arrived in Egypt. Yaakov and all his descendants with him, his sons, grandsons, daughters, granddaughters, and all his descendants he brought with him into Egypt. These are the names of Israel's children who came into Egypt. Yaakov and his sons, Reuben, Yaakov's firstborn, and the sons of Reuben, Hanok, Pelu, Hetzron, and Carmi, the sons of Shimon, Umiel, Yamin, Ohad, Takrin, Tokzar, and Shaul, the son of a Canaanite woman, the sons of Levi, Gershon, Kahat, and Merari, the sons of Yehuda, Onan, Shelah, Perez, Tarak. But and Onan died in the land of Canaan. The sons of Perez were Hetzron and Hamul. And remember, and Onan died when we met Tamar. The sons of Yissachar, Tola, Puva, Yab, and Shemron. The sons of Zebulun, Sarad, Elon, and Yakel. These were the children of Leah, whom she bore to Yaakov in Padam Aram, with his daughter Dinah. In sum, his sons and daughters numbered 33. The sons of Gad, Zephron, Haggai, Shenu, Etzbon, Erah, Orodi, and Ariel. The children of Asher, Yimnah, Yishva, Yeshivi, Beerah, and their sister Sirach. The sons of Beerah were Heber and Michael. These were the children of Zilpah, whom Laban gave to Leah, his daughter. She bore them to Yaakov, 16 people. The sons of Rachel, Yaakov's wife, Joseph and Benjamin. To Joseph in the land of Egypt were born Manasseh and Ephraim and Manasseh, whom Osnat, the daughter of Potipharah, priest of On, bore to him. The sons of Benjamin, Bela, Bekhar, Ashbel, Gera, Naaman, Ekar, Rosh, Mupin, Hupin, and Ard. I like Mupin and Hupin. I mean, they should have started a band. I just think that would have been cool. But these were the children of Rachel who were born to Yaakov, in some 14 people. The sons of Dan, Hushmin. The sons of Naphtali, Yakazeel, Guni, Yetzer, and Shalem. These were the sons of Bilhah, who Laban gave to Rachel, his daughter. She bore them to Yaakov, and in sum, 7 people. All the people belonging to Yaakov came to Egypt, his direct descendants, not counting Yaakov's sons' wives, totaled 66. The sons of Joseph born to him in Egypt were 2 in number. Thus, all the people in Yaakov's family who entered Egypt numbered 70. Isn't that cool? I love that because 70 is kind of the number of completion, of testing, all these kind of things, the perfection of, and it got there. That's crazy. So Yaakov sent Judah ahead of him to Joseph so that the latter might guide him on the road to Goshen. Thus they arrived in the land of Goshen. Joseph prepared his chariot and went up to Goshen to meet Israel, his father. He presented himself to him, embraced him, and wept on his neck for a long time. Then Israel said to Joseph, "Now I can die because I have seen your face and seen that you are still alive." Joseph said to his brothers and his father's family, "I'm going up to tell Pharaoh. I'll say to him, my brother and my father's family who were in the land of Canaan have come to me. The men are shepherds and keepers of livestock. They have brought their flocks, their herds, and all their possessions. Now when Pharaoh summons you and asks, 'What is your occupation?' tell him your servants have been keepers of livestock from our youth until now, both we and our ancestors. This will ensure that you will live in the land of Goshen, for any shepherd is abhorrent to Egyptians." So a little bit to unpack here, but Jacob's really happy. He's finally grateful, and he's convinced they're going to survive the famine. They're not all going to be wiped out. He wondered what the result would be in going to Egypt. Obviously, was this the fulfillment of prophecy that was given to his grandfather Abraham? We got that in Genesis 15:12-16, when it says, "Now when the sun was going down, a deep sleep fell upon Abram. And behold, terror and great darkness fell upon him. And God said to Abram, know for certain that your descendants will be strangers in a land that is not theirs, where they will be enslaved and oppressed 400 years. But I will also judge the nation whom they will serve, and afterward they will come out with many possessions. And as for you, you shall go to your fathers in peace. You shall be buried at a good old age. Then in the 4th generation they shall return here, for the iniquity of the Amorite is not yet complete." So basically what he told Abraham all those years later, back in Genesis 15, that you're going to go there, you're going to be slaves, and then after 400 years, I'm going to bring you out. Now, slaves back at that time were basically like adoption is now. So to be enslaved and oppressed is something they were not used to, and they really didn't anticipate because it wasn't normal. Jacob knew that he would die in Egypt, obviously, and basically 4 centuries would pass before they would leave. What that meant, what it looked like, he probably had no clue, but he was pretty certain it was going to happen. So they stopped at Beersheba, and God addressed his fear that he was going to be alone and God couldn't come with him. In verse 3, God tells Jacob not to be afraid. It is in this land that God prepared to grow this group of 70 into a great nation. So God's telling him something there's no way his brain can kind of work out. Sometimes we're like, well, God, that doesn't make any sense. Right. The God of the universe is in the business of doing things that doesn't make sense. He's not dependent on what we understand or what we can accomplish. And so he tells us, don't be afraid. I got this. You're going to have protection from me, and all of these things are going to happen. You don't have to worry about them. Don't fear them. They're going to happen. So God says, I'll go down to you with Egypt and I'll bring you back. Jacob's God was about to take this step of crossing a boundary and then crossing it again. No one had ever heard of anything like this before. To us, it seems insane to even think that, but this was the thought process back then. So Joseph was in his 30s, so Benjamin would have been probably in his 20s. This whole journey is about 250 miles. So you figure it'd take about a week, traveling at about 3 miles an hour, stops and those kind of things. They may have been going quicker, maybe slower, but it takes about 8 days, 7 to 8 days to go that far. So So Benjamin would have been in his 20s since Joseph's in his 30s. And we see 10 sons of Benjamin. Now, in Numbers 2, they're grandsons. Well, it's because all of this has been written after the fact. So he went back and added those names in there because that would have completed everything. Obviously, he hadn't even met them yet, so he wouldn't have mentioned them here. This was put in after the fact. This is not a daily diary. This is a recap of the highlights to some extent. So after time passed, a clear picture of the family tree was put in place, so they just plugged in those holes. It's also possible the number 70 is symbolic. I would be surprised if their number was anything less than 200 when you consider kids and daughters and stuff. But all genealogical listings were grouped for a certain reason. So sometimes we want to read through them and go, oh, those don't matter. And the way they pronounce them is hard anyway, so I'll just skip over them. But it's important how they list them because it matters. It's to put something out there. So the first members of Israel are listed are Leah, Jacob's first wife, and her children, then Leah's servant girl Zilpah and her children. So further proof of the later change of the genealogy is that it includes Joseph's sons that were born in Egypt that he had not even met yet. Jacob had not met, didn't even know they existed yet. So listing is important, where you're at. So they went back in and plugged in some of these holes. So Judah was sent ahead to scout the way. This was kind of a job for the firstborn. Go make sure everything's good. Show us how we're supposed to get there. And then this meeting with Pharaoh is kind of being set up. It's all the diplomatic stuff. These are the things I want you to say. These are the things he's going to say. And it's all ceremony. And telling them that they tend livestock is technically true because they tend sheep, not cattle, but it would have just kind of glossed it all over. And that's generally what you do in diplomacy. You want everything to sound and look good. So that's chapter 46. And we're about to see what happens whenever Jacob actually gets to Egypt, and all kinds of things happen. 47 is a big chapter. We're going to see a lot of things and reunited with his son. And I think it's pretty exciting. And you're almost through with Genesis. So remember, love God, love people, and go change the world.